Mitchell Griffith here with Show and Tell, where I get to show you some of my favorite brands and the people behind them that make them special. Today I'm here with the man behind Dune Custom Works, a talented bladesmith, gifted carpenter, leather artisan, Paul Bunyan reincarnated, Dune Beard. Dune, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
As you're building Dune Custom Works, what is your dream, your future plans? If you could shoot for the moon, what would it be?
If I'm being honest, I don't want to grow too big. I don't want to get it to the point where, I have more than 10 employees.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that I'm going to do full time for the rest of my life, because I don't want it to get to the point where it's more of a job than something that I love. And I know that there's a good balance of that, and that's what I'm looking to find. But as of right now, I think my next steps are growing my shop, hiring one or two people, and then really pumping out some marketing and just getting my name out there a little bit more to increase the production. But once it gets to a certain point, I don't want to grow anymore.
Yeah.
I have other interests as well that I like to pursue. I don't want to have to always be almost forced to make something that I don't truly want to.
Yeah.
That'd be like the worst situation.
Well, it's where it's like, I have a huge passion and love for this, and then it turns into just like, well, now I just have to do this every day. I've got deadlines that I really have to hit.
Yeah.
And then it takes that from being like, I really love doing this, to being like, crap, I have to crank this out in 4 days, and I just am dried out.
Yeah. Which it does happen from time to time, which I understand that, like that's part of the job, and that doesn't bother me too much. But I think there will be a point at some time in this business's lifetime where it'll take away the joy, and if it takes away the joy, then it's not as good. I loved making this piece.
Yeah.
But if I didn't love it, maybe it wouldn't have turned out so good.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at your website and I was like, I love the picture of you with the doors open.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's just so beautiful. Like, that screams everything that is Dune Custom Works in one picture.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are actually surprised when they pull up and they're like, this is where you make your stuff? Like out of a 2-car garage in a little Lowe's shop? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. I'm like, yeah, I make it work.
Dune, in an age where it's click to buy, what makes a custom piece of furniture or a custom knife so special?
That's a really good question. That's actually a question that I have to answer to a lot of my customers. And my go-to is that nobody else has this. This is a one-of-a-kind piece of art that I think will last lifetimes. And either woodworking like this, that's going to be a centerpiece in a bedroom, in a kitchen, wherever it is, or a chef's knife that when you pull out, everyone's going to notice it because it's unique and it's different. It's not a Cutco.
Yeah.
And so I usually just tell people that it's handmade with best materials, and it's built to last.
Love it.
Yeah.
What was the turning point where your dream went from really being kind of like a hobby or a passion to being a full-time profession?
A year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah, to be right on the money. I was in school. COVID hit. Most of my classes were pretty. I'd say they had to be in person, and so COVID hit, and I couldn't be in classes anymore. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna take off school. And I'm gonna start doing this and start trying to sell my products.
Yeah.
And started the business officially, Dune Custom Works LLC, and I just went from there. I started focusing more on my social media. Had my good friend build me a website, and we worked together on how that could just really, attract a target market. And then, school came back, and I did not want to go back. So I've been doing this ever since.
Well, I love that. I love that, for a lot of people, it took taking what we didn't know was 8 months to a year off.
Yeah.
And really finding those passions that is this is something that I've always really loved and really wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I haven't been able to put a bunch of time into it. And then just being like, okay, well, this is it. This is what I need in order to kind of jump off and take that plunge into doing something that I truly love.
Right.
Dune, as you developed a love of working with your hands at a young age, what was the first thing that you made?
First thing I ever made was a knife.
Okay.
I made it out of an old file found in my dad's shop, and I just kind of tinkered with it a little bit. Worked on a little grinder that he had, and put a Puerto Rican coin as the pommel, and then this old elk antler as the handle, and it is just terrible. But started.
Hey, yeah, you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Did your dad ever miss the file, or did he know?
No, he actually, he was really funny because he's very particular about his files, and so he found one that was already broken and said, you can just try out this one.
This could have stopped at a one-time project. How did it end up becoming a passion for you?
That's a good question. I've always created. I've always liked to draw or paint or, make something. And it wasn't until my junior year of high school that I discovered that I could capitalize on it and start selling some of the stuff that I was making. So my first thing that I ever sold was a Yeti sleeve, like a 20-ounce Yeti. Had someone get one for me, and I didn't like that it didn't have a handle, so I made a leather sleeve for it with a handle. Brought it to school. Next day I had 20 orders.
That's incredible.
It was amazing. And so the combination of the fact that I could sell what I was making and I also enjoyed it, that kind of grew into a passion, which also rooted to different things. Woodworking, my first woodworking project was actually also my junior year.
Really?
Yeah, someone wanted a stool, so I made a stool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then my first knife I sold my junior year as well.
Okay.
So junior year for me in my high school was like, all right, all these different passions, all these different interests that I'm kind of following. Just kind of grew from there.
That's so cool. I love that how it was a very defining moment for you of not only am I growing up to kind of be an adult, but it's I'm also discovering this passion that I can now turn into something that I'm wow, I want to do this full time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a kind of a weird turn of events. If looking back, I wish I could have monopolized on a little bit more and started to do more. But you live and you learn.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Dune, thank you so much for having us. Happy to have you as our first ever show and tell guest. I feel like it was very fitting.
Yeah.
Dune, it's a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You bet.